Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and thank you so much for 75,000 subscribers here on YouTube. I feel incredibly lucky and grateful that this community has grown to this point. 75,000 is a pretty incomprehensibly large number. In today's video, to celebrate, I'm going to be running the newly released Mega Malamar in some Open Great League practice battles against you, my viewers. Now, currently the Open Great League doesn't allow Mega Pokemon. This video kind of serves as a what if, showing what the Open Great League would look like if they ever allowed Megas in the future. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and in game number 1, we're off to a very tough start, leading Empoleon into Gastrodon. A safe switch into Mega Malamar answered with a Wigglytuff, but look at Mega Malamar's animation. Mega Malamar already, I absolutely love the visuals on it. I build up to the back-to-back superpowers. That's going to guarantee me switch advantage or shield advantage. Superpower number 2 lands, Wigglytuff falls, and switch advantage has been secured. Getting switch advantage is incredibly important because that way, I get to put that Gastrodon onto my Togekiss. Bad news for me, however, is my opponent reveals their Mega is Mega Metacham. Mega Metacham takes the knockout with the Ice Punch as I bring in Empoleon. Empoleon going to be firing off the Drill Peck right away. The regular Metacham does not have a high attack stat whatsoever, but this is the Mega Metacham. Mega Metacham, I assume Empoleon does win charge attack priority, but honestly I'm not 100% sure. If I farm up, go for the Hydro to cover for a catch, and I actually lose charge attack priority. That is not good. Mega Metacham winning charge attack priority over Empoleon, and I'm forced to burn my final shield. Hydro Cannon will be shielded. If they farm up to 5, I'll go for the catch. They pivot, trying to go for a catch of their own onto Gastrodon, but with this favorable alignment, I should be able to take home this win. Gastrodon going to go for a Body Slam onto the Togekiss. Togekiss going to try for the Dazzling Gleam, hoping that it is going to be enough to secure the KO. Dazzling Gleam lands, Gastrodon barely able to hang on, but Togekiss does get the peck down. In comes Mega Metacham, going to be winning charge attack priority over the Togekiss, but I should be in a winning position because that was all of their energy firing off that Ice Punch. Back in comes Empoleon with the Drill Peck loaded. Drill Peck KOs Mega Metacham, and that is a good game. Picking up a very neutral lead in game number 2, Empoleon into Gourgeist. Empoleon has a slight advantage here, but I believe Gourgeist does actually win the ones by making it to double Shadow Ball. Drill Peck will hit for super effective damage. My opponent undertaps, anticipating that I would not go for the catch there, and they're absolutely correct. I shield up the Shadow Ball. They're going to send in a Mega Charizard X, and I could get swept by this Charizard. I don't have a resistance to Blast Burn on this team, and that means I could be in quite a lot of trouble. Charizard just going to look to overfarm even more energy. I'm going to get both shields, but I haven't really damaged the Charizard whatsoever. Charizard pretty close to 100 energy. I'm just going to let the Empoleon go. They go for the Air Cutter bait. It does not set up a farm down. Somehow Empoleon barely able to hang on, and that forces Charizard to fire off the back-to-back Air Cutters. I get very lucky here as my opponent does not end up getting either Air Cutter boost. I send in Mega Malamar, I shield at the last second, and I get the shield call right as they go for the Blast Burn. My opponent reveals their final Pokemon is Corviknight. I'm going to fire off Superpower, just looking to get some damage before I send in Togekiss. Togekiss does a very nice job at shutting down energy from the Corviknight. Corviknight will get to spam out Air Cutters, but Togekiss is very comfortable absorbing that energy. And man, my opponent is just not getting the Air Cutter boost. Air Cutter after Air Cutter. They've thrown 4 Air Cutters in this game, and still the Air Cutters refuse to boost. I'm getting very, very lucky in this matchup. I try for the farm down. I can't quite get it. My opponent will make a 5th Air Cutter. Air Cutter lands onto Togekiss. I send in the Malamar. I snipe down the Gourgeist switch in, and that should seal it. As Mega Malamar has energy for days, my opponent waits down the timer, sends in the Charizard, but Charizard does not have the charge stack loaded. Malamar takes the knockout with the foul play. Back in comes the Corviknight. Corviknight falls to the Psywave damage, and we get the win. Great lead in the next match, Empoleon into Shadow Celio. My opponent safe switches into Corviknight, and I'm more than happy to stay in here at least to start with and play this out. Empoleon into Corviknight feels like it should be a hard counter matchup, but I actually feel that the Empoleon actually has the advantage there somehow, because if the Corviknight fails a bait or gets payback shielded, then it gets very comfortable for the Empoleon. I tried to go for a payback catch onto the Togekiss, but my opponent was far too patient. They get to hold on to their energy, fire off back-to-back Air Cutters, but Togekiss does have the HP needed to hold on. My opponent tries to snipe with the Celio and pays the price as I'm barely able to make the Aura Sphere and force a shield. Back in comes Empoleon. Empoleon's typing is such an advantage in this matchup because Celio is stuck throwing entirely resisted moves. Now, Empoleon doesn't have an amazing stat product, so it does still take quite a lot of damage from the Shadow Surf, but I'm hoping this can set up Mega Malamar to sweep. In comes Mega Malamar, Celio gonna be firing off energy. I put up the shield. Unfortunately, I believe their switch timer is up, so they will be able to pivot out, and they have Mega Altaria in the back. My Psywaves will add up, but unfortunately, Mega Altaria adds a Fairy subtyping, and that means that my energy is going to be walled. I don't want to throw this Foul Play because it won't knock out quite yet. I'm gonna have to do more damage before I do. I'm gonna farm up to the back-to-back, switch into Empoleon, try to snipe down with the Metal Sounds, but it wasn't quite enough. Altaria goes for the Sky Attack, taking the knockout, and back in comes the Malamar. They bring in Celio, and I need to knock out the Celio with the Foul Play. Foul Play is going to be shielded. I go for Foul Play number 2, and they get the catch onto the Corviknight. I need a perfect undercharge to win the game. I go for the undercharge. I need the farm down. Mega Malamar gets Sand Attack down. What a catch from my opponent, and we lose a very close game. Picking up a great lead in the next match, Empoleon into Mega Beedrill. My Metal Sounds are doing huge damage, but then I realized this is a Poison Sting Beedrill. I was so used to the Bug Bite Beedrills from the European Internationals meta that Poison Sting Beedrill is actually going to be a very big problem here because they win Charge Attack priority and we have identical pacing. So I fixed the problem by actually catching the Drill Run onto Togekiss where it is going to be double resisted. My opponent sends in Celio, but Celio not normally known to be an answer for the Togekiss. Because Togekiss is going to be able to output some pretty massive damage with the Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere lands, they farm up a ton of energy, but I feel very comfortable letting the Togekiss go as it's definitely done its job. Back in comes the Empoleon. Empoleon going to be hit with the Surf, but this is the non-Shadow Celio, which means I'm able to tank that very comfortably. I try for the farm down, I get the farm down, and that is so nice for Empoleon. If they bring in the Beedrill, I'm just going to throw energy. I just need to get this Beedrill out of here, and then once the Beedrill is off the field, then hopefully I can be in an okay spot. My opponent reveals their final Pokemon is going to be Dragonair, and I should be able to close out the game with the Malamar. I will respect the Dragon Pulse. My opponent ends up going for Aqua Tail, but as the Mega Malamar, I should be able to survive their charge stacks and farm up pretty close to the back-to-back. So even though Dragon Breaths do get the Malamar very low, Malamar will build up to the back-to-back Foul Plays, and that should do it. Foul Play knocks out the Dragonair, back in comes the Mega Beedrill, and if Metal Sounds were doing that much damage, Beedrill is not surviving this Foul Play. Mega Malamar takes the win. Very bad lead in the next match, leading Empoleon into Mega Blaziken. I save switch into Mega Malamar, and my opponent responds with Credilli. I believe I played to the CMP tie here against the Credilli. This is a misplay by me. Honestly, the reason why I think I ended up mistiming it is that Mega Malamar's animation is very, very bright, and that did cause me to unfortunately mistime it. But now I'm able to get good timing the second time around. So I farm up a ton of energy, fire off the Foul Play, and snipe down with Psywaves. So I do exit with a ton of energy on the Mega Malamar. Unfortunately, I am going to be debuffed. In comes Feraligatr. Feraligatr will be hit with a superpower, but this is a debuffed move, which means Feraligatr just simply does not have to care. I try for a catch onto Empoleon. My opponent shows great patience holding onto the energy, and they bring back in Mega Blaziken. Aura Sphere lands, that's the end of Empoleon, and I need to hope that I can peck down before they make a Blast Burn. It's going to be close. We do get the peck down. They would have only made an Aura Sphere, and that would not have done a lot. Back in comes the Feraligatr, and with all the energy that I have on the Malamar, I think I should be okay. I'm always just going to be letting Togekiss go here. This will always be an O-Shield. They go for the Hydro Cannon. Togekiss, it looks like I end up lagging a turn there somehow. I don't know if that was a game issue or just my internet being bad. I'm hoping it's not going to cost me because this has been a pretty tense game, starting with that Mega Blaziken lead. Aura Sphere will get the shield. There's the switch into Mega Malamar, and I did bank a charge attack before switching out there. So Mega Malamar takes the knockout. A very scary game against Mega Blaziken, but we are able to emerge victorious. Very bad lead in the next match, Empoleon into Shadow Marowak. I save switch into Mega Malamar, and my opponent responds with a Klefki. Now that is not a Pokemon I was expecting to see whatsoever. Klefki goes for Foul Play. Foul Play does do quite a bit, but it's not going to prevent Malamar from making the back-to-back superpowers. And this is going to pressure the Klefki quite a bit. They either have to give me a shield advantage, which would be massive, or switch advantage. Honestly, I'm very fine with either. They end up giving me switch advantage. Malamar is going to get farmed down by a Mega Mawile, and this is where things get interesting. This Mega Mawile is on Astonish, and it's highly likely they are running Power Up Punch. These Astonishes can start absolutely shredding through my Empoleon. They're going to fire off the power-up punch on alignment. They're just trying to ramp up as much damage as they possibly can. I'm going to get the back-to-back Hydro Cannons, but my opponent will have the ability to shield both and fully farm me down. That is not great. That means that I'm going to be forced to send in the Togekiss, and Togekiss will have to try and close this out. Hydro is shielded. In comes the Togekiss. They farm up to a potential Iron Head. Are they actually going to full send? I say yes. I put up the shield. That's the Iron Head. That is a very big call. And back in comes the Shadow Marowak. Shadow Marowak should have had 1 Mud Slap before they switched out, and that means there's still 1 off the Rock Slide, and with the back-to-back Aura Spheres, I'm barely able to outpace, knock out the Marowak, and that should secure the win because Mega Mawile did not bait earlier. They just cannot make it to another Iron Head. We make it to a 3rd Aura Sphere. Togekiss putting in so much work in these battles and taking home another win. Empoleon versus Empoleon in the next match. Now this is a lead matchup that I am very, very happy with, considering that I do have Togekiss in the back. Togekiss not going to be a big fan of dealing with an Empoleon, so if I can get the Empoleon low, then that should serve me pretty nicely. My game plan is a pretty simple one. I just want to try and get my opponent into a range where I can Psywave them down with the Mega Malamar, and then I should be in an okay spot. Hydro is going to land, I return fire with a Hydro Cannon of my own, and this should basically be perfect. This should be Psywave down range. I set up the Mega Malamar. It's a simultaneous switch Mega Malamar into Murkrow, and this is very, very bad. Mega Malamar can survive the Drill Peck, but not by much. I don't have the greatest IVs on my Mega Malamar, so this could come down to damage registration error. Superpower is shielded. I don't get superpower number 2. I think that's going to cost me, as now this Murkrow is loaded, and I am in a lot of trouble. Murkrow fires off the Drill Peck. They switch into Empoleon. Empoleon will unfortunately make a Hydro Cannon. That forces me to go for a catch onto my Empoleon, but my opponent goes for an undercharge. They do not want to knock out the Empoleon. Instead, they want the farm for the Murkrow. My only win con is to try and peck down. I don't care that I'm going over 100 energy. If I can exit with 100 energy, maybe there's a chance to win the game. Togekiss does not get the peck down. Murkrow, for the first time ever, too bulky, survives the pecks, takes the knockout, and wins the game for my opponent. Neutral lead in the next match, Empoleon into Giratina. I save switch into Mega Malamar, and my opponent is going to make a catch of a foul play onto Mega Blastoise. Mega Blastoise, oh my goodness, look at him go. Unfortunately, he is getting torn to smithereens by Mega Malamar. Mega Malamar, foul play, forces the shield. Blastoise going to try and double up, but they should only have 6 rollouts here, and it's 7 to the double up. So I shield the Hydro, get the Psywave down, and exit with a ton of energy. Back in comes the Giratina. It appears this Giratina is actually on Ominous Wind. Most Giratinas are typically running Dragon Pulse and Shadow Ball, but since it's a Great League Giratina, this is probably a Giratina from back before Dragon Pulse got buffed. Foul play is shielded. I make another foul play. They make a catch onto a Wailord. What is a Wailord doing here? Oh my goodness, the Spice. It's a Shadow Wailord at that. I farm up energy, send in the Empoleon because I'm trusting the fact that Empoleon should be a complete wall to Wailord's energy. Wailord goes for the Surf, and yeah, Empoleon's typing is going to be very, very clutch here. I'm a little bit worried that the Wailord might have something like Hyper Beam because 2 Surfs would not knock me out, but a Surf into a Hyper Beam definitely would. I'm able to take the KO. In comes Giratina. Drill Peck should just about secure the knockout. Giratina barely able to hang on. Giratina surviving on very low HP. They'll get the knockout onto the Empoleon, but I believe I'm very close to a move on Malamar. It turns out I won't even need that Mega Malamar energy because we just get the Psywave down. Amazing lead in the next match. Empoleon into Quillfish. Opponent safe switches into Mega Sableye, and this is where things get complicated. Mega Sableye is strictly better than the regular Sableye. I try for a foul play catch, but look at the patience from my opponent. My goodness. Mega Sableye lands the Power Gem. Togekiss gets absolutely destroyed. Mega Sableye, if I'm not mistaken, is bulkier than the regular Sableye, so I can't even peck it down. I'm just forced to fully sacrifice the Togekiss. Back in comes Empoleon. My opponent pivots into the Quillfish, but it appears they don't have a super strong answer to the Empoleon. They're just sacrificing the Quillfish. Quillfish has farmed up a ton of energy, and that makes life very, very awkward, because I want to send in the Mega Malamar, but I can't send a Malamar into a Quillfish that has this much energy. Quillfish, they're still farming. Oh my goodness, Quillfish farming energy for days. Drill Peck gets the shield. They're finally going to start firing off some energy, and I will just be letting the Empoleon go. Aqua Tail lands, Empoleon still not getting knocked out. It's a charge attack priority tie, and this, I think, will be worth the shield. They have so much energy on the Quillfish that I need to try and neutralize it. So by going for the CMP tie, I give up a shield, but they lose all of their energy, and I have to trust in Malamar. In the back is a Shadow Murkrow. This game will come down to a catch. I put up the shield as they go for the drill peck. There's the pivot into the Sableye. They do not get the catch, and that should seal it. Foul play is going to be knocking out the Mega Sableye, and then all that's left is going to be that Shadow Murkrow in the back. I try and get as much Psywave damage as I can. Psywave's really not going to do much here, but the superpower will knock out that Murkrow and take the win. I wanted to do something fun to help celebrate this incredible 75,000 subscriber milestone, and I feel like getting to battle you, the viewers, and try out Mega Malamar, which, as soon as I saw it, instantly became one of my favorite Pokemon that they've ever released. It really felt like the right thing to do in my eyes, and the battles ended up being a lot more fun than I ever could have expected. I got absolutely thrashed in some of these battles. Like, the plays were absolutely amazing from my opponents throughout. And even when I had some pretty significant team comp advantages, my opponents did such a nice job of making life very difficult for me, constantly over farming, and really making me work for each and every knockout. So if you were one of the opponents in this video, or just any of the opponents that I played whatsoever, I did end up playing a lot of games, and unfortunately time constraints, I wasn't able to include all of them. But many thanks to you for battling against me, and just many thanks to everyone. Whether this is your first HomeSliceHenry video, or whether your 100th or even 1000th HomeSliceHenry video, you have helped make this channel what it is today, and for that, I am sincerely grateful. This channel started as a passion project all the way back in 2020. That was during the lockdowns when COVID was first going on, and I was working from home, and there wasn't really a lot to do outside of working because couldn't really go outside. And I feel like there is a certain point of watching Netflix where you say, you know what, I just want to do something rather than just kind of passively sit there and let the time go by. I had started battling a few months prior to that. I was very, very bad at it. I didn't know how to get less bad at it. And I thought that it'd be fun to kind of document the journey. So along the way, as I worked at battling, and Pokemon Go was my first ever Pokemon game. I had played the base game since 2016, but the battling feature did really intrigue me because I had all the Pokemon that I had caught, but I couldn't really do anything with them. You could battle them in gyms, I guess, but that never really caught my attention the same way that PvP did. I was mainly just looking for a creative outlet and a way to document my journey as I worked to figure out how the heck to play this new game mode, because it seemed very fun, but I was very, very bad at it. And it's just continued to grow and grow to the point where now I'm sitting here in 2026. I just got back from casting the Seattle Regional Championships as an official caster. The season number 26 of the Go Battle League begins tomorrow. Well, today, because the video will drop on Tuesday. I'm recording this Monday evening. And honestly, it's been one hell of a journey. Thank you to everyone who has watched. And here's to a fantastic season of new content.